everyone, I'm Jeff Atkinson.
And I'm Kristen Johnson, and welcome to a special presentation, Unionville Barbecue, People, Pork, and Pride.
You're in for a treat. For the next half hour, we're going to take you inside to experience the largest and oldest school fundraiser in the state of North Carolina.
Once you have it in your blood, you really can't ever be disconnected. This barbecue is history, and it's going to continue to happen.
Where we are right now is in the town of Unionville, population 8,117, a fast-growing suburban town just north of Monroe in Union County. The school is Unionville Elementary School, and it's been here since 1885.
And the Unionville Barbecue has been going on for 64 of those years. It started in 1949 after World War II when Harry Truman was president. Quite incredible. Who'd ever guess? We're in the gym of the school where, as you can see, hundreds of people are enjoying the barbecue. Well, let's show you what's going on outside right now. This really is like a well-oiled machine.
I got one that needs to come through.
It's the kind of early morning traffic where you can sit for an hour and still have a smile on your face. That's because you'll be hard-pressed to find anyone who doesn't know what they're in for.
Pretty consistent, just good barbecue.
It feels fitting to find a kind of thing like this in a small town where even among the organized chaos,
I can count on you to be here every year.
kindness flows as easily as a southern drawl.
Have you been helped, ma'am?
So far, everything's running really smoothly,
Okay. What would you like?
and we're just getting the food out,
5 cartons of stew, 3 slaws.
making everybody happy.
Everyone has a story to tell,
I worked here at Unionville for 30 years,
whether you're in the car line
and I know what goes on behind the scenes before this happens.
or the assembly
And
line.
it's a great way to meet other parents of children, and I started when my son was in kindergarten.
Traditions live on in this takeout line where a majority of orders take place.
There you go.
Half a dozen plates in one car,
27 stews.
as many as 350 in others. Who all is that for?
Union County Nutrition and Transportation for the Elderly.
As memories are made, a day like this means the whole town practically shuts down to pull it off.
Yeah. I usually take a week's vacation from my job so that I don't have to try to work and do barbecue.
There are packers,
13, 14, 15.
Packaging the Brunswick stew for the plates.
the pickups,
That's it. Going? Right here.
lots of veteran volunteers,
About 13 years.
and of course a crew who already make helping a career.
It is such an organized event, though. I mean, I don't know how they do it. Everything runs so smoothly, but I know some of the organizers don't sleep for a week.
Have you been helped? Okay, if you'll just pull up here to the boxes, okay? Thank you.
And Jeff, one organizer tells me that each year that they do this, it gets better and better. They learn more tricks about how to make things run a little bit more smoothly.
You said the whole town shuts down. It really is an unwritten holiday. The school is open though, and this always happens on the first Friday in November.
It does. That was just the day they chose in 1949. And coincidentally, it also falls 8 days after another famous barbecue event in the area, the Mallard Creek Barbecue. It's held at the Mallard Creek Presbyterian Church in northeast Mecklenburg County. Mallard Creek started 84 years ago, so it's 20 years older than this one, but folks here in Unionville like to say that their barbecue is bigger. They will serve more people.
And no doubt folks here will say theirs is best.
Absolutely. People will go to war over their queue.
That's right, it is something to be taken seriously. While barbecue is the main event, there's a supporting cast member in this show that doesn't take second fiddle. It wouldn't be a real Carolina barbecue festival without Brunswick stew. Our cameras were there when the ingredients arrived, and they were taken off a huge semi-tractor trailer early Monday morning this week. What makes Unionville barbecue different, the locals say, is the Brunswick stew. What's in the recipe is a secret that's been kept hidden for generations. A man who's seen plenty of Unionville barbecues over the years now is WBTV reporter Brian Stevenson. Brian is outside the cannery where they make the Brunswick stew. How many of these have you been to, Brian?
Well, Jeff, I have been covering the barbecue here at Unionville for WBTV for a long time, probably 10 years now. And you're right, it is a closely guarded secret what goes on behind me in the cannery. But last night they let me inside and I tried to get some answers on what goes in to that stew. The night before the barbecue and the old cannery is a beehive of activity. 2,400 gallons of Brunswick stew are starting to be assembled, and hundreds of cans are waiting to be opened, all waiting their turn to become part of this legendary stew.
I don't know what other people put in theirs, but a lot of people like our stew. It's best in town.
David Renfro is in charge of the operation. He'll spend over 24 hours in the cannery supervising this part of the Unionville Barbecue. So who better than the guy in charge to tell just what goes into this secret recipe?
Beef, ground pork, and chicken that's ground up too. Potatoes, lima beans, tomato paste, tomato puree, crushed tomatoes, corn.
But he won't share everything that goes into the stew with us.
You got all the special seasoning, really special seasoning.
Yeah, can you tell me about that?
It's special seasoning. That's where we're gonna leave it right there.
What I can tell you is that the 3 meats are browned first, a process that takes about half an hour. Then all of the other ingredients are added in. That's when the stirring begins. At first, it's tough. That's why they get the young guys to do that part. That's the job Jerry Price had when he started working on the stew crew 38 years ago.
And all of the ones whenever I started out was just local farmers. About every one of them was older than me. Right now, if I stop and think back, I don't know if there's any of them still living or not that I actually started with. But yeah, they were always here. You didn't have to call them.
I figured Jerry has worked on this barbecue so long that maybe he could help me with the secret to the stew.
You know, I can start out telling you, but I really can't tell you because it's a secret recipe. You know, we try to hold that for a school here, you know.
Well, you do have to admire people that can keep a good secret. The one thing that is not a secret is how much people like Jerry love Unionville Elementary.
I feel like whenever you got a good school around, you know, in a community like that, you know, and they do something like this, you should fall in and help them.
Everyone here, whether they have a child at Unionville currently or not, have a great time hanging out all night.
Unionville Barbecue!
And getting the Brunswick stew done.
These guys in here now, they'll probably work till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then another shift come on and work till daylight. And it gets real intense, but you know, you just do what you can do until you wear out and then go home.
And when it's ready to come out, it looks so good. All right, so you see now, guys, I'm inside the cannery. They are still working hard. And let me find David over here. Let's see if we can finally get one more. David, one more time, can you tell me the secret?
No.
Guys, at least I tried. The secret will remain a secret for now. Kristen, Jeff, back to you.
Well, at least you tried. Brian mentioned how much stew they'll make for this event. Wait till you see the entire grocery list.
And what it takes to pull off the 64th annual Unionville Barbecue is amazing. Let's go through the numbers.
They sell 19,000 tickets to this one-day event and cook 14,500 pounds of Boston butts.
There's 11,160 slices of bread and 4,140 hamburger buns.
2,400 gallons of Brunswick stew, 500 gallons of slaw, and 200 gallons of barbecue sauce.
They couldn't do without the 800 volunteers from the school and the community and 130 enthusiastic staff members from Unionville Elementary.
It takes 4 months of planning. They started meeting in June, 3 sleepless nights, 2 dedicated administrators, you're going to meet one of them later, and 1 local fire department that they couldn't live without.
Not to mention a pinch of luck for good weather. Gather all the ingredients, stir in a little hard work, and they manage to pull it off every year.
It's a recipe for the largest school-sponsored fundraiser in the state and for the good of 775 school children here at Unionville.
We've heard several say this event is more than just a fundraiser. It's an institution.
And it's a reunion, too. People who move away will come back to see family and friends, eat some barbecue. Some will even work that day. But if you're looking for the heavy hitters, it's the men who prepare the meat. They'll come out during the night on Wednesday night, work all the way through the night while most of us are sleeping. Photojournalist Dan Roberts spent some time with these guys they call the pit crew.
Original crew got here at about 7 o'clock earlier, and they burn off the pits, put on the tops, and got the fire barrels going. My crew, we get here about 12. We keep the barrels warm. We start warming the blocks, putting coals through, getting the tops warm. so that the heat keeps the, kind of like preheating an oven. Done it one time, then again about one, and then two, about every hour. And you just want to get it warm to the touch. And then at 5 o'clock, when the other crew comes to place the meat on, then it's on. Take the meat off at 5 and put the meat on out of the truck at about 5 o'clock. It's chilled, so it drops the temperature immediately. So then we'll take the coals back out, stoke the fires again, and that's when it starts. We have a group of people that come throughout the day, and include myself, keep the barrels going, and then once we get the meat on, about every hour, we start to turn the meat. And then you have to keep the fire stoked on the hour, or every 30 minutes. We're applying more heat, more coals to it. But you want to cook it slow.
That's a special bunch, the pit crew. Our thanks to photojournalist Dan Roberts, who spent the overnight hours with those guys this week. Jeff, a lot of people want to know how much firewood it takes to create those embers that cook the meat. The answer, 11 loads.
11 loads, and they're also using new burn barrels this year. The others finally gave out. You know, when it comes to barbecue, North Carolina has a rich history that some say goes back hundreds of years, maybe even to the days of Christopher Columbus. Historians say barbecue itself is older than European settlement here. When Columbus came to the New World, there were folks here doing barbacoa, slow cooking meat over an open fire or in a hole dug in the ground with leaves covering over it. The word transformed in time to barbecue. Dr. Tom Hanchett, staff historian at the Levine Museum of the New South in Charlotte, says picking out the best barbecue in the Carolinas can get you in trouble.
The best barbecue, I love the fact that folks fight over that. It's kind of like the wines in France where you go over the next hill and we've got the best grapes. Here in the Carolinas, we're real proud of who we are. We don't have the Texas barbecue with the beef brisket. We don't have the Memphis barbecue with all of the rubs. We've got the pulled pork, and it's famous.
Hanchett told us he was in Canada recently and they were featuring Carolina barbecue.
There was a big barbecue competition. Everybody was vying to have the best Carolina pulled pork. I asked where they were from, Montreal, Vancouver. So we should be proud of who we are.
So who has the best Q in the Carolinas? Southern Living magazine polled its readers and they picked Lexington Barbecue in Lexington as North Carolina's best barbecue. And the best in South Carolina? Little Pig's Barbecue in Columbia.
Coming up from the Unionville Barbecue, meet the glue that holds it all together. Unionville Elementary Principal Sharon Von Cannon. She's been coming to this event since she was 5. Hear what her biggest challenge is.
And next, how did this thing get started? Find out how a stealth trip to a local elementary school turned into sweet success. We'll be right back. What is Wingate? A thriving university nestled in a quiet community near Charlotte. Named 6th best value in the South by U.S. News & World Report. Leading the way in the health sciences with pharmacy, PA studies, and nursing. What is Wingate? Big enough to offer 22 NCAA sports. Small enough to attract the best and brightest in the world. What is Wingate? Wingate is you. Wingate University. Major in a great life.
$8 for a plate of barbecue, that's still considered a bargain. You know, 64 years ago when they first started, students, families, and members of the community would donate food for the barbecue.
You're right. People used to bring in live chickens and what they had from their garden, corn, cabbage, and potatoes for the Brunswick stew. All the ingredients were donated, so there wasn't a lot of cost. It was a much smaller event back then.
And it truly is a community product. It's just a project and people look forward to it.
To hear the history of the Unionville Barbecue, you have to go to the source, and Everett Medlin is as good as it gets.
It started off as a fundraiser for the school, and it has just turned into larger and larger and larger and larger, and it just, the tradition is carried on.
None of the founding fathers are still alive. Everett's dad was one of the ones in charge in the early years, and Everett was 10 years old when this picture was taken. Fifth graders have the honor of serving the customers. The tradition survives today.
But they're the ones who laid the groundwork. They laid the framework, and so our respect goes to them.
It was J. Carlisle Trull and 5 others who, along with the principal, decided in 1949 they needed to have a school fundraiser. News accounts report they traveled to Charlotte, to Berry Hill School, which had a barbecue, and then took the idea back home to Union County.
Unbelievable for an elementary school.
Larry Simpson is the mayor of Unionville, and his family's worked the barbecue for years.
One of the greatest community efforts that you'll ever find. Not only the school, but a community effort. And without the community, it wouldn't be.
The first few years, they had a committee of 4, cooked about 400 pounds of meat. Today, it's an army of dozens who will prepare nearly 15,000 pounds of pork, 2,400 gallons of stew, and stir 500 gallons of slaw. They'll make 19,000 plates.
It's work, but it's also more than work. It's a great time that people get together that may not see each other very often. They get together and work shoulder to shoulder.
An event that's attracted politicians. That's the late Congressman Charles Raper Jonas. And local celebrities. Meteorologist Eric Thomas with WBTV Channel 3 in Charlotte. Wanda Stegall is a former assistant principal.
Unionville is just a strong community. It has roots. It's a family. It's been here for history.
Wonder what the founding fathers would say about the Unionville barbecue of today.
Bet they'd be pleased. Someone who knew a lot of old-timers is Sharon Von Cannon, principal at Unionville Elementary School. Sharon, thanks for joining us. First off, how are you holding up?
Great. Everything's just going as planned, right on time. The people come, the people serve. It's awesome.
So your mom first worked this when you were in kindergarten. Has it changed much over the years?
My mom first worked it as a student, actually, and so this used to be a high school, so she shared all of her memories, and then I did go to school here, so I remember what our students are out doing today. They're out serving and picking up trash for the folks is what we did, so it's changed quite a bit.
How far out do you all start planning this?
I have my first organizational meeting in June, but really next week we'll start next year as we get all the chair people together and do a plus delta. What went well, what do we need to change, tweak, the amounts, the people we served. So I would say next week, but officially the first committee chair meeting, we will meet with the vendors in June.
And you've got a notebook that's what, 6 inches, 12 inches thick?
Oh, lots of them, at least that thick.
And how do you sell all those tickets?
Well, we have some great incentives for the kids, but mainly they sell themselves. It's word of mouth, and the Brunswick stew speaks for itself, and they start asking us, when are the tickets going to be on sale? So it's a really easy sell as long as you keep a good product.
When we first met you, you said, it's every reason to be principal here, it's every reason not to be principal here. What do you mean?
I love this place. There's a lot of tradition and heritage, and my roots are deep here. That's one of the reasons. And it just allows us so many amazing opportunities for children. So that's the every reason to be principal here. The way they just, come together. I was worried about Chip and Cool being on Halloween. They heard I was worried. People, I didn't even know. They just flocked in. We got it done last night. The every reason not to, because it really is 2 full-time jobs. You really, it would be like a restaurant owner coming in to run a school. I'm not a professional restaurant person, but we have some really good volunteers. We've learned a lot from past mistakes, and we've tweaked things until we feel like we have it. But so everything to be principal here for what you can do for children. The flip side of that is trying to balance your time and making sure the instructional program stays strong, because that's what the fundraiser supports, is the instructional program. And it's a lot of hard work. I don't think you could put just anybody here. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but it is so worth it. It is.
What would you say is the hardest part?
The hardest part is making sure that we have enough. We don't want to turn any customers away. We want to not have so much left that we have to pack and sell later, but we certainly don't want to turn people away who came excited about it. That's really hard to judge, because this time Last night we were $17,000 ahead of last year on the same night, but there's no way to tell, did the ticket money get turned in early? Were the prize incentives better? So what's making the difference? So I guess we'll know in a couple weeks when it all pans out.
This has got to be the envy of every elementary school in the state.
Well, in some aspects, that's the lucky you, and then there, I don't want to be you. But yeah, because it is the largest fundraiser of a school, we're just able to provide the children so much. And I really want our incoming parents that are moving to this area to really get what it's really all about. So yeah, there's a lot of jokes cracked on principals meeting, you know, barbecue time, you know, it's just a running joke all the time of how much goes into it, really.
Sharon Von Cannon, it was a pleasure getting to know you this week. Congratulations.
It is not me, Sharon Von Cannon. It is these amazing people here. It couldn't happen without them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're not the only ones who've taken notice of the Unionville Barbecue. Our state magazine was here last year taking pictures for a future story on the event. Barbecue is a big story in North Carolina. No word yet on when that article will be out. This event is not just a fundraiser and community reunion. Unionville Elementary uses the barbecue as a teaching tool as well. Students take tours of the barbecue pits and learn about weights and measures. Younger children read the story of the 3 little pigs, and the 5th graders who sold the most tickets, the top sellers, there are 15 of them, get to serve lunch in the gym today.
We analyze all different parts. We've looked at how long it's been around. It started in 1949, so we've talked about dates and the timeline of the barbecue. We're getting ready to incorporate the history of Unionville into it, so it's a really great tool. Yeah.
Teachers will use this event as an opportunity to teach math, while others allow students to write about the event or make promotional posters.
The barbecue has become a town tradition that's not likely to stop anytime soon, especially since it raises about $140,000 each year. After the bills are paid, about half of that amount, about $70,000, goes directly to the school. They'll use the profits in various areas. For technology, things like upgrading their smart boards. For instructional supplies for the kids. Some of the money will go to pay for certified tutors in every grade level. They have a literacy coach here that other schools don't have. Money raised goes to benefit this year's students. All of it will touch the kids directly.
Once it's over, the cleanup begins, and that involves another army of volunteers. Tents and tables will be taken down, equipment and facilities will be cleaned, and everything will be put away and returned until next year. Organizers say the school will smell like pork for several weeks.
That smells like money.
Exactly. Our thanks to the faculty and staff of Unionville Elementary for being so kind and hosting us this week.
And our thanks to Principal Sharon Von Cannon for all her help. We couldn't have done it without her. I'm Jeff Atkinson.
And I'm Kristen Johnson. As we close, take a listen to a local bluegrass group, the Green Brothers, who stopped by to entertain the crews preparing the Brunswick stew. Thanks for watching.